This is an Olds Community TV Special Report, an open conversation with Nathan Cooper, nominee for the Alberta Wildrose Party candidate for the Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills constituency.
I think, there's interesting times in Alberta politics, and as I sort of looked at the opportunities that are ahead and some of the Wildrose activities that are behind us, I thought that this was a good opportunity to continue the Wildrose principles of fighting for grassroots democracy, smaller government, more transparent and accountable government, and in turn opposition. And I've done a number of political things throughout the last number of years, including working for the former Wildrose MLA Bruce Rowe as his assistant, and doing some work up in Edmonton for the Wildrose Caucus, and then a number of other things, including being on council for a couple of terms in Carstairs, and really having a taste of public service and the excitement that public service can bring, and the responsibility. And so I look, as I enter this nomination race, I look forward to potentially continuing to serve the people of the constituency in a different manner. Yeah, certainly the constituency is vast, as many people will know. It goes all the way from Trochu down to Carbon, Linden area, Acme, and then takes in all of Crossfield, all the way out to Water Valley, and then back up to Highway 27 and 22 and across to take in all of Olds. So we really have a diverse constituency with many common themes, and people are interested in what's going on in politics in many respects. We're a little bit different than, say, an urban riding where people can sort of take or leave politics. Many people in our constituency are quite engaged, and so they're interested to see what the future holds for the constituency. Traditionally, it's been a conservative stronghold for many years, and at the last election they voted in a Wildrose opposition, and still today many people are frustrated with the current government, and some folks are also frustrated with what happened on December 17th, when a number of Wildrose members crossed the floor to join the governing Tories. But people still today here in the constituency believe that this government needs to be held to account, and that this area needs to have a strong voice. And should I win the Wildrose nomination, I will work to continue on that strong voice and really representing the grassroots, the people of this constituency. And that's the sort of thing that I get excited about, and the thing that interests me is engaging with folks in the constituency to see how we could best potentially meet their needs. Yeah, for sure. Our membership base is very engaged. In fact, more engaged than they've been in the last number of years. They have really had a renewed sense of the key things that are important to Wildrosers, and so they are re-engaging in this process and in the nomination process that's currently underway. Nominations actually opened last Wednesday and will close on the 30th of this month, and then the vote will go the 20th of February. And so people are rallying around. I'm out meeting lots of folks right now, getting signatures on the nomination papers. People are buying memberships again and really engaging to try and ensure that the principles that Wildrose holds dear, and those principles didn't change when the folks that crossed the floor did so on the 17th of December. The principles then remain true just as they do today. And so people are working hard to ensure that those principles remain and are engaged in that process. There's no question that there's a provincial impact as well as a local impact, and many of those things are the same. Some of them are a bit different. Some of the things that I've been hearing around the constituency are a general sense of disappointment, that people are disappointed with both the Conservatives for allowing it to happen, as well as the Wildrose members for pursuing it. Many people feel betrayed. Many people feel like it doesn't matter any longer, and that's really quite disappointing. I understand. I also felt betrayed, and I also felt disappointed, but today in 2015, we need to engage in the process even more than we have in the past. And what happened makes people less likely to engage. You know, traditionally speaking, voter turnout isn't incredible, and this type of activity isn't going to help that. But one of the things that I look forward to trying to do, should I win the nomination, and even during this nomination process, is engaging constituents to let them know that this is important and their voice does matter, and both in the nomination process and moving forward, that I will be respectful of their voices. You know, we need to have more politicians that are good to their word, that are willing to do the right thing, even when the political climate is changing. Because when people cast a ballot for one individual or another, they expect that individual to represent them in the way that they presented themselves. And so that's really what I will try to do through this nomination process, and then should I be successful in the upcoming provincial election as well. In order to be part of the Wildrose process, everyone that is going to vote in the nomination race has to be a member. So the nomination process opened up last Wednesday, and I am currently in the process of we need 75 members to sign my nomination papers, and any other potential contestant that would like to seek the nomination also requires the 75 signatures. So it's a way to really try and engage the membership base. Then those signatures are all due on Friday the 30th, and then we will have another 21 days until the actual vote takes place on the 20th of February. So once everything's settled and the nomination contestant is declared to be the winner, then that individual will go forward into the upcoming election that, you know, has been rumored to be this spring, but there's an election law that's in place that gives an election window that is between March next year. There's a 3-month window around the month of March that the next election should take place in. And so my personal hope is that the Premier is good to his word, and when he was seeking the leadership of the PC Party of Alberta, he had indicated that he would not be calling election until 2016, and so I think as all Albertans we should be asking the Premier to make sure that he in fact keeps his word. A provincial election costs around $13 million, and at a time where the price of oil is downturning, people in this constituency are losing jobs and are facing layoffs and cutbacks. I don't think that as a province we need to be spending $13 million on an election, particularly when the governing party has 70 plus seats. I think that they received a mandate at the last election, and they should keep their word and wait till 2016 before calling another election. So as a grassroots, a believer in the grassroots, I really hope to stay as connected to constituents as possible. You know, time and time again we see MLAs elected go to Edmonton, get really caught up in everything that is Edmonton and the nuances of the activities that happen that are often so disconnected from everyday Albertans. You know, I had the pleasure of spending the last couple of days meeting constituents in coffee shops around the province, or around the constituency, here in Olds and out in Linden and Three Hills and Crossfield, and part of my hope is to really focus on ensuring that I'm representing the constituents and the voice of those constituents. And so the way that you do that is by connecting with them on a regular basis and not forgetting the importance of the people who have elected you. You know, politics is a funny game where, or a funny job, I should say, where essentially there's somewhere around 10,000 people. In the last election, Mr. Rowe received over 10,000 votes, and you're hired by 10,000 plus people. And so it's really important that you continue to carry on their vision. And the things that I'm hearing from folks, and so as a result they're important to me, are are ensuring that our taxes remain low. I haven't spoken to one person who thinks that we should be raising taxes right now. Meanwhile, Mr. Prentice continues to discuss PST and changing from the flat tax, and I just don't think that that's where folks are. And so the things that are important to constituents are important to me, including making sure that this government is held accountable. And we've seen the Wildrose has been able to do that over the last couple of years. They've been very effective at holding this government to account, and so it's very important to me that that task continues as well. You know, it would take a real shift in the political climate for the government to change in what is likely a spring election. I don't think that Mr. Prentice has much appetite to wait till 2016, and so it all signs point to that election. So I also believe that constituents want to understand that their representative is not only going to focus on the negatives, but focus on solutions, and and not only oppose the government for opposing them's sake, but thanking the government when they do things that are right and that are good, and also providing solutions to the government so that in turn they may in fact enact them. And over the past couple of years we've seen a number of cases just like that, where the government has in fact acted upon Wildrose suggestions, and in fact I hope that the government continues to act on Wildrose suggestions. It does not mean that the Wildrose is any less important, and in fact today more than ever we need people who are in touch with constituents and in touch with Albertans to be passing along solutions to the government. Yeah, I don't know if they make us unique because Albertans are Albertans and generally stick to sort of conservative lines of thought. So, you know, we are substantially more conservative, obviously, than Edmonton and in many respects Calgary, but many things remain the same. People today more than ever want their elected officials to be accountable to the things that they say. So they're looking for accountability, particularly in this region and perhaps more than anywhere else. People are looking for more personal freedoms, less government intrusion, and more personal freedoms. And it's a core principle of the Wildrose. They're also looking for fiscal responsibility. There's no question that people of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills want the government to spend much more accountably and much more wisely. When Mr. Prentice talks about raising taxes, in many respects what he's saying is, we have done a poor job of managing your money over the last couple of years, the last 10 years, last 15 years, and so now we haven't planned for another downturn, and so we're going to ask for more of your money to mismanage in many respects. And people of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills, are frustrated with the government's lack of accountability when it comes to spending, and so they want to ensure that the government is spending money wisely. And again, this is a core principle of the Wildrose, and one that I believe firmly and strongly in, and would continue to defend should I be the candidate in the upcoming provincial election. Sure, I would encourage people to get involved, and I know that many folks have a bad taste in their mouth, and I too have been disappointed with what happened. But today is not the time to turn away from the key, the utter importance of our democracy. People all around the world fight for the ability to have a democracy like we have, and I just really encourage people to not lose heart in that. And I think that with good government, we can all be excited about how much better our province can be. And really, over the last number of years, we've had so many missed opportunities, and I think now is the time to be talking about how much better of an Alberta we could have. That doesn't mean that Alberta isn't a great place, because it's one of the best places in all of the country to be, and Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills is one of the best constituents in all of the province. But just imagine how much greater we could be if we all came together, rallied around the key principles of less government intrusion, more personal freedoms, more accountable government. I think that we're really on the edge of what can be an exciting time, and I encourage people to get involved. If if I've said some things today that have resonated with you, please feel free to give me a shout. I'd love to get you involved on the Wildrose side, and have you engaged in the nomination process. And even if you don't necessarily believe in Wildrose principles, but would love to chat about ways that the government could be better, about ways that our constituency could be stronger, I'd love to do that with folks as well.
So how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you're more than welcome to contact me directly via email or give me a phone call. My phone number is 403-998-6385. 403-998-6385, or you can connect with me at nathanmcooper@me.com. So nathanmcooper@me.com.
Olds Community TV, your go-to channel for news and information in Olds, Alberta.